In the over 150 years of recorded professional baseball, the list of relief pitchers to throw at least 360 innings and record a strikeout-to-walk ratio of over 7.5 in their career is of length 1. This is not a very restrictive filter either. You filter out these two pretty important stats for a reliever career and you get only one player? This player must be an all-time great. He must be someone that gets talked about a lot, especially when he was in his prime. Maybe Mariano Rivera? If it was someone active, you'd probably expect it to be Emmanuel Clase. But no, it's not either of those two. He is an active player, and he's been on 5 different teams in the past 5 seasons, while never actually being a closing pitcher. It's not Emmanuel Clase, it's not Mason Miller, it's not Devin Williams, it's not Yohan Duran, it's not Edwin Diaz, it's Chris Martin. Yes, the 39-year-old Chris Martin. Over the past 4 seasons, this guy has been flat out dominant, yet he doesn't have a huge contract, he switches teams seemingly every year, and he is in his prime. He's the best pitcher in the league that nobody talks about. Before we get into it, most of you watching this video are not subscribed, so if you enjoy the video, I would appreciate it. It's the best way to support the channel. If you ever want to get your name and face out to the major league audience, the last position you would want to pick is a non-closing reliever. These guys are by far the most underappreciated players in the league. The biggest way to see this neglect is the All-Star Game selections. There have only been 5 All-Star selections, including replacements that were non-closing relievers in the past 5 years. In that same time span, there have been 48 closers selected, those 5 being Matt Strahm for the Phillies in 2024, Yennier Cano for the Orioles in 2023, Joe Mantiply for the Diamondbacks in 2022, Taylor Rogers for the Twins in 2021, and Andrew Kittredge for the Rays in 2021. The bar for getting in as a non-closer is much higher. This is where Chris Martin comes in. He's never appeared in an All-Star game, which is one of the bigger reasons why he isn't regarded as this dominant relief pitcher. He hasn't been in the All-Star game because he hasn't been a closer. Just take this 2023 season for example. In the first half, he pitched 28.2 innings, posting a 1.57 ERA, striking out 23 batters, walking only 4, and giving up just 1 home run. He had a FIP of 2.42. He did not make the All-Star team, but his teammate at the time and closer for the Red Sox, Kenley Jansen, did. Jansen pitched in 30 innings with a 3.23 ERA, striking out 36, walking 14, and giving up 2 homers. He had a FIP of 3.03. Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that Jansen had 19 saves compared to Martin, who had only 1. Now, you could argue that Jansen was pitching in much higher leverage, so his good performance outclassed Martin's great performance. But when we look at win probability added during this time span, Martin recorded a 1.76 win probability added compared to Jansen's 0.12. Even in lower leverage situations, Martin was a more valuable pitcher to the Red Sox, but Jansen ended up making the All-Star game while Chris Martin was not given a chance to go. This year, for some reason, he is still not the closer for the Rangers, with Luke Jackson and Robert Garcia racking up most of the saves. I'm not an MLB manager, and you probably aren't either, but by the end of this video, you should know who you want out of these 3 in a high leverage situation. Going back to his 2023 season, that season was one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a reliever in this century in terms of pure production, even if Kenley Jansen stole the attention. It was so good he actually got Cy Young votes for it, and he only threw 50 innings. First, we need to rewind a little. Martin was drafted in the 21st round of the 2005 MLB draft by the Colorado Rockies. Though he never actually signed with the Rockies and went to McLennan Community College, he tore his labrum the following season and was not selected again in the MLB draft. As one would do, he went to play in an independent league, though he got injured and gave up professional baseball for 3 years. He would return to independent ball in 2010, get signed by the Red Sox in 2011, debuted with the Rockies at 28 years old in 2015, then leave MLB to play in Japan for his 30 and 31-year-old seasons. At this point, this is not quite the resume of a great reliever, but he pitched well in Japan and got an offer from the Texas Rangers for the 2018 and 2019 seasons. He then began to pitch pretty well and eventually put together his best season in 2023 for the Red Sox. There are only 8 reliever seasons since the turn of the century to have a higher ERA plus than Chris Martin's 2023 campaign. Now, this wasn't a statistically dominant season for Martin. Even his strikeout-to-walk rate was below 6. Still amazing compared to other relievers, but for him, that's rather low. In terms of pure production, though, it is one of the best. That can be seen by looking at his B-WAR for that year. He recorded 3.2 BWAR in just 51 innings pitched. He missed 3 weeks due to a shoulder injury in April, which didn't allow him to rack up even more WAR. When we look at the highest WAR seasons adjusted for innings pitched, Martin's 2023 season is the second most valuable on a per-inning basis since 2000. Only Jonathan Papelbon's 2006 season is better. How was this season this valuable? Well, because he was really good at stranding base runners, something that elite relievers need to do. He had a 93.4% strand rate, which means over 93% of the base runners that were on base while he was pitching did not score. He inherited 15 base runners all season, and just one of them scored, the second lowest rate in the entire league that season. The best instance of this happened on June 11, 2023, when the Red Sox played the Yankees on the road. It was the bottom of the 10th inning. The Red Sox were able to score their ghost runner in the top of the inning, giving them the chance to win if Martin was able to strand the Yankees' ghost runner. The first at-bat was a deep fly ball to right field by Billy McKinney, allowing the tying run, DJ LeMahieu, to move up to third base. This plate appearance against Jose Trevino now turned into the highest leverage plate appearance of the game. With the tying run on third and just one out, Martin proceeded to strike out Trevino on 5 pitches, and then he struck out Anthony Volpe on 3 pitches to win the game for the Red Sox. This is something Martin would do many times throughout the 2023 season, although not in closing opportunities. This ability to strand runners is pretty strongly correlated with a reliever's ERA, unsurprisingly. Here's a graph that shows that relationship. But the real question is whether or not a pitcher can possess the ability to strand runners. Is it a skill, or is it just that good pitchers will strand more runners? In 2023, Chris Martin was elite when runners were occupying second or third. He allowed a batting average of just 130 and an OPS of only 379. His fastball with runners in scoring position was a full mile per hour faster than when there were no runners in scoring position. That jump in velocity, whether intentional or adrenaline-based, may have been a key reason why Martin was more effective with runners in scoring position, allowing him to post one of the most productive reliever seasons we have seen in recent history. But Martin's resume doesn't just stop at that season alone, as we can zoom out even farther and he will look just as good. Take a look at this graph that relates strikeout rate to walk rate for qualified relievers since 2022, so 3.5 years. The first point that stands out is probably this one, Edwin Diaz. He has been by far the best strikeout reliever since 2022, but he also missed a full season in this time span. The next point on this graph that stands out is this one. This one is Chris Martin. He has posted by far the lowest walk rate amongst relievers since 2022 at just 2.8%. He also isn't just lobbing the ball in the strike zone either. His strikeout rate is above average in the high 20s. This is how his strikeout to walk ratio that I mentioned in the intro is so good. In fact, it's about double the next best guy since 2022, and that next best guy is Emmanuel Clase. Now, I know strikeout to walk ratio isn't a perfect stat and doesn't scale well in extreme cases, but when the gap is that large, it's interesting nonetheless. When you look at the leaders of strikeout minus walk rate, probably the more superior strikeout and walk comparison stat, Martin is near the top as well, only behind Diaz, Josh Hader, and Felix Bautista. Any stat you look at over the past 3.5 seasons, he's going to be near the top. His ERA is at 2.4, which is in the top 10. His FIP is 2.37, only behind Clase and Diaz, who, again, missed a full season. And his xFIP is second to only Edwin Diaz. One thing he is greater than Diaz at is his fWAR, which is higher since he's pitched more innings. Obviously, there are some arguments to be made from some other names here, but Martin is right up there with all of them. Yet nobody ever brings him up for the best reliever in the league. MLB Network does their annual top 10s for each position. There are definitely a few names on this list for 2025 that are questionable, and Martin undoubtedly deserves a spot over them. Martin did sneak on the MLB Network list in 2024, but the fans disagreed. Most of these rankings are probably scared to rank him high due to his age. They figure the last couple years were maybe a bit of a fluke, and it's all going to come regressing down since he's now 39 years old in 2025, or at least that's what I thought the last time I made a reliever ranking before the 2024 season.
He's going to be 38 years old this year. I don't see him having anywhere near as productive a season as he did in 2023, but he will be solid, and I think he'll still be the best reliever on the Red Sox team that doesn't really have much coming out of the bullpen.
Wow, that guy sounds dumb. This year, Chris Martin is arguably pitching better than he ever has. Martin has a near career-high strikeout rate at 30% and still a minute walk rate of 3.8%. These strikeout to walk numbers alone are insane, but when you add on to the fact that he also has given up just one home run this year, it makes it even better. He has an ERA of 1.74, the 22nd best out of qualified relievers. He has a FIP of 1.82, the best of his career, and 5th best out of qualifying relievers this year. When you see the year he's having right now, and the years he just came off of, you would think he would get more notice. It's probably due to a combination of his slow development, underdog story, late debut, delayed prime, and his style is kind of boring. His fastball velocity is right around league average. He throws over the top, doesn't get any wicked movement on his pitches. If he is so boring, how is he successful? Well, Martin is the definition of a pitcher and not a thrower. In-zone rate, or how often a pitcher throws a pitch in the zone, shows us that Chris Martin does that often in 2025. He has the 5th highest in-zone rate amongst relievers with at least 20 innings pitched this year. There are 185 qualifiers, so 5th place is pretty good. Of course, this is expected as his walk rate is really low, and those typically go hand in hand. But what makes Martin so good is the fact that when he does throw pitches outside the strike zone, hitters chase often. 33.6% of the time actually, which is in the 87th percentile amongst relievers. This combination is very valuable. He has 4 main pitches, and they kind of form 2 pairs, the cutter and sinker, along with the 4-seamer and splitter. The reason for these pairings is that the movements oppose each other. The first one I want to look at is the 4-seam splitter combo. He most often uses this one against lefties, but will also mix it in against righties. In modern baseball, the 4-seam fastball is typically seen at the top of the zone, with tons of velocity and vertical movement, but Martin's 4-seamers are clustered around the bottom third of the strike zone with very good consistency. This is mainly done to set up the splitter, which will look exactly like the 4-seamer at the bottom of the zone until it drops out of the zone and ends up near the dirt. This relationship is how Martin's splitter this year has a 50% chase rate. It also has an average launch angle of just 6 degrees, making it a very hard pitch to elevate and do damage with if swung at in this location, and hitters have swung at it a lot. The sinker-cutter combo is used mostly against righties. He's far from the first guy to use this pitch mix, but he is certainly one of the best in the league that's using it today. The cutter, of course, breaks glove side away from the batter, and the sinker breaks arm side into the batter. If you want to know just how good command Martin has, he's only thrown 1 sinker not on the inner half of the plate to righties, which is this pitch right here. He's thrown 34 sinkers and has only majorly missed with 1 of them. That level of precision is rare. Martin isn't overpowering hitters with crazy stuff, he's ripping them apart with sequencing, location, and tunneling. Every pitch has a purpose and every zone he targets is part of a plan. This kind of pitching won't always make headlines, but it's what makes Chris Martin so effective and so frustrating to hit against. Chris Martin might not be a household name, he's not a closer, he doesn't throw 102, and he doesn't get talked about much, but year after year, he just gets outs, and does it better than almost anyone else. He's precise, consistent, and quietly dominant. And if you've watched this whole video, you know that Chris Martin deserves way more credit than he gets. Maybe he can finally get that all-star nod this year. Thank you for watching, make sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.